News headlines from across the globe today are centered on the novel coronavirus and the ravages it's causing to economies. Economies like Ghana. But unlike other countries where many deaths are recorded from the virus, Ghana's situation is slightly different. Reports say many deaths come from road carnages or accidents. On this edition of Ghana Web Road Safety Campaign, we speak with one of our partners at the National Road Safety Authority to get a sense of why this situation persists and what can be done to better it. Pearl Adusu is Public Relations Officer of the NRSA, and she's our guest on this edition. My name is Echi Atisu. Pearl, thank you for agreeing to speak with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me and coming to the head office of the National Road Safety Authority.
We are glad that you're giving us the time. So tell us, National Road Safety Authority, what exactly is your role in terms of fighting accidents?
Thank you very much. The National Road Safety Authority is established to develop and to promote road safety in the country, and also to coordinate and regulate activities, procedures, and standards that relate to road safety and provide for related matters. In short, we will say National Road Safety Authority is the lead agency in the country that manage road safety in Ghana.
All right, we know you've done several campaigns, activities over the years with regards to road safety and carnages and all of that. But why do we still have such high numbers of road crashes that lead to deaths?
All right. One of the things is that over the past few years, there have been influx of vehicles into the country. It has risen more than 100%. And then the population is also growing. When we look at the statistics from like in the 90s, when we were about 11 million and over, today we are about 30 million. The cars also keeps coming, and commuters has increased. And so the more people and vehicles go on the streets, the more crashes that happens. Notwithstanding this, road users are not adhering to the road safety rules and regulations that are out there, culminating with the irresponsible nature of or behavior of people who work in the road safety institutions, related institutions. All this culminates into the increase in the statistics that we have. If not for road safety that are putting down standards and developing standards and promoting road safety by coordinating activities and then other campaigns we do, the numbers would have even been more than we are seeing.
You spoke about the institutions that teach people how to drive and all of that, and how they educate our drivers. Can we say for a fact, because we know a number of people who don't even go through the normal system of actually going through driving schools, could this be accounting for some of these lapses that we experience in our road sector?
Yeah, it actually is, because when we want to look at road safety management, it comes with 4 E's: education, engineering, enforcement, and emergency service. So when you take education which encompass training, when we take it out, it means we'll create a platform for fatalities. And so training and education is a very essential component of road safety management in the country.
So how is the NRSA helping to deal with this lapse? It seems like it's a huge lapse or a huge gap in the system. How are you helping to?
Okay, thank you. You can't control individuals how they start driving. Some learn it through going to the formal school process, some other people teach them, but we've put out standards there. That's why we develop standards. That's why we develop procedures. So if even you didn't go to school, there are standards there. The moment you get on the road, you know that the road will educate you to know that the road is not for you. You are using the road with other road users, and it belongs to, let's say, an institution or the government. And so there are rules as to how to use the road. That is why if you don't follow the standards and the of the traffic rules and regulation, you are sanctioned or punished. Thirdly, we also go into the field to train the drivers at their terminals. We call it outreach. We go periodically, and then we train them, we educate them, we sensitize them, we make them aware of the standards we have in the country and what the consequences will be when they don't adhere to. So we do that a lot. We've seen that over the years we've been doing those things, but these things keep coming. Through research and investigation, we've seen that there is a lot of indiscipline among road users. So what now we do is, the main people we see first to call to order is the drivers. So from 2019, we've started training. We call it driver education and training, calling drivers into the classroom back once a year and to train them on best practices. We did the piloting. Then when COVID set in, we couldn't do it, but we are at an advanced stage of developing it again with DVLA, and then every year it will be mandatory for you to, as a driver, to go back to the classroom and have a refresher training in defensive driving or any other training that you need to get to be on the road. And the consequences of not doing that is that when you go to upgrade or change your license, when a certificate is not shown that you've been to the classroom to have this refresher course, your license may not be renewed or upgraded unless you go and come. That is something that we are putting up. It is part of some of the interventions we want to bring on the road safety management space to curb the crashes that is ongoing currently.
That sounds like a very proactive measure. But let's get some education. What's the difference between the work you do here at NRSA and then that of the Police MTD?
All right, thank you very much. The Police MTD are our stakeholders. We work closely with them. They enforce the traffic rules and regulations on the road, on the individual road user, especially drivers. They make sure that rules and regulation, we have Road Traffic Acts, which is, we have 2004, we have 2012. There are a lot of directives, regulations in there, whereby it stipulates clearly what a driver can do on the road and not what not to do. And so the driver is there to enforce that, to see that when you jump or you violate a traffic rule and regulation, you are apprehended, processed, and prosecuted. Ours is that our core mandate is education. We educate the road user. We sensitize them. We make them aware of the rules and regulations that are in our act. And when they violate, the consequences. That is the education. That education even go to the classroom. We partner with Ministry of Education, Ghana Education Service. Some of our road safety bits, bits, and things they have to know are inculcated in their curriculum, so that the children are taught not as part of examinable subjects, but it comes into some of the social studies, RME subjects that they learn about the act, what it pertains, the small basic things we should do. We coordinate also. We coordinate all road safety institutions, being private or governmental. We coordinate them so that we see that every road safety activity they want to do is standardized.
Okay.
So we, when we're commissioned, do these things. Now that we became authority, a mandate has been given us where we do institutional enforcement. So as the police are enforcing the individual road user or driver, we do institutional enforcement. We see to it that all the institutions that are do road safety related work do the right thing. And so when they don't do, we enforce the laws of the rules and regulations, or we sanction them, or we regulate their work, especially the road transport operators and unions. We regulate them. So when they don't abide by the rules and regulations as an institution, that is where we come in and give them compliance notice to comply or face sanctions.
You spoke about the fact that you are now an authority. How different has your work become since you were commissioned and now authority? You were speaking a little about that, but how drastic has the difference been?
When we were commissioned, we just develop and promote road safety and then coordinate the activities of other agencies that want to go into road safety, and then regulate some activities. That's all. But now, when the mandate came, we have the power to regulate the road safety space like civil aviation does,
Okay.
like maritime authority does. We have to regulate the transport system. We don't have to leave them, the unions, the operators. There are certain things we should check before a vehicle from a union, an operator moves. Certain things we should put, they as unions should put in place, which is in the Road Traffic Act. We have to regulate and see to it that they do those things so that crashes will come down. Previously, you advise. You don't have the mandate, the backing, the authority to sanction or to impress upon them to do A or B. But now the law is backing us. The act that brought the authority, Act 993, states that we need to regulate them, see to it to put certain traffic rules and regulations in place, and for them to make sure that they abide by those things. When they do, we sanction them. And so now we are enforcing the traffic rules and regulation in the institutions that does road safety work. So for instance, if you are DVLA and you need to license or certify a car to be roadworthy, but we get there, we realize that the car is not roadworthy, but yet DVLA has certified it to be on the road, then it means we have to sanction that institution. Okay. Because all these things culminate into crashes. Because when a car is not roadworthy, but it's on the road, it can result in crash. When a police officer is supposed to enforce the law on a driver and you don't do it, we realize that that's sort of, we can sanction that institution. So now we enforce, put up institutional enforcement, whilst the police do individual enforcement, day-to-day enforcement. So for instance, if Ghana Highway Authority, with all their engineers, have to put up a road infrastructure with all furnitures on board, but we do an inspection, we realize some safety infrastructure are not in place, we can give them a letter of compliance so that they comply with the safety aspects of the road infrastructure. If they don't for a certain time, we can go in to sanction them. So that is what we do, which is different from the police. They do individual enforcement, we do institutional enforcement.
As part of your work as well, you do road safety audits.
Yeah, our work says that we should do road safety audits.
Okay.
Especially now that we've become an authority.
All right. There are concerns that this responsibility has been left in the background, and that is added up to some of these lapses we have in the road sector. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, Over the years, we were not backed by law to force institutions to comply or to do whatever they have to do. We just advise. So we don't directly do the road safety audit those times. We advise the related road safety institution that will take a particular road infrastructure project to let us come in and do. But when we advise that they don't take, there is no law binding them. But now that we have become an authority, when this advice is not taken, for us not to be part or to audit before, during, and after construction, that is where we will sanction them. So now the law empowers us. So this is where they will be forced to bring us in. Those times we were collaborating, we were advising, but it was, if it is ignored or put relegated to the background, there was nothing we could do by law, because the law didn't give us any door to sanction or to enforce anything. But now that we became authority, the law backs us to be able to sanction or make an institution that didn't mind us doing the audit to comply with our directives.
All right.
So that is the difference. That is why that section has been left for some time. But now that we are developing our legislative instrument, all these things will be addressed appropriately.
You're also mandated to establish a long-term road safety plan. Is there anything like that, and can you share what that plan is?
Yeah, globally, we belong to the global road safety community, and UN itself has been coming up with structures. Now we have what we call the new decade of action for road safety. It is even a global plan. So we will draw our plan fitting into it. So we just have to put down strategies that will minimize fatalities on our road, because the global plan is for the new decade of action, for it is from 2021 this year to 2030. Okay. We have to make sure that we minimize fatalities by 50%. So we come to our office and then we put down strategies that we will use to do all those things. And for now, we have put down certain things which, if you don't care, I can share with you.
Please.
So that we see to it that before the 2020 or by 2030, sorry, we will see a drastic reduction in fatalities on our roads. One, what we are doing currently is our flagship campaign that is called Arrive Alive. We bring it to the Tree language, we say Kodru Jojo. It is a campaign that we started in October, and we are hoping it goes well into a number of years to come, maybe 2, 3, 4. We started with topical issues on road safety, like speeding, dangerous driving, fatigue driving, night driving, driving in bad weather, topical issues, about 52 topical issues with infomercials, with jingles to go with it, and then we discuss topic by topic. As we discuss, then the infomercials will be playing. We are coming up with production, drama productions, we are raising billboards, and then we are collaborating with the police. As we educate, we sensitize, we bring awareness on topical issues relating to road safety, then the police will be enforcing those things. So maybe if we are discussing speeding, what is the speed limit for several areas, what should the drivers do and not to do, and how overspeeding or excessive speeding will affect our road safety issues, then the police too must be enforcing it on the ground. So when they see that you are overspeeding, you should be apprehended, processed to court or something. If it is fatigue driving, what constitutes fatigue driving? What what is its impact on road safety or crashes, what the drivers ought to know and what they ought to do. At the same time, when they see that an accident has occurred and realize the driver was tired but still was driving, what is the consequence? What should we do to the person? The police should enforce that. That is the campaign we have taken up. We have partnered with several media houses, which we are doing an add-on so that it will go nationwide. The piloting was basically in Accra and its environs, but now we want to take it, open our tentacles and go nationwide to all the 16 regions. Apart from the how do we call it? From the campaign, we have certain things we are putting in place. Road safety automation. Road safety automation is where there are gadgets we are developing at the development stage. We put in vehicles, especially the high risk commercial vehicles, the buses and other things who do inter-city travels. We are starting from them so that we can check people who come to board the vehicle, their names, their identity and other things, the number of passengers you are picking if you are overloading. There are gadgets that we are developing to put there, and so to be checking records of passengers and how you loaded. So that road safety automation is coming up now. Okay. That is one of the things we are bringing on board so that we'll be able to check people. So when an accident happens, for instance, sometimes that people crashed in, let's say, the northern part of Ghana, they got bent and were not identified. Because we have that data already, people can easily be identified when such things happen. And when you are overloading too, it can automatically be known. Secondly, we are doing a road accident database. That road accident database, we are putting a lot of things together. We do it now, but manually. We want to go electronic. So sometimes a year and 2 years over, we've not had a database of the previous year of accident, things that goes into it. Now we want to go electronic so that we'll have a database. Immediately the year ends, we'll have a database so that, road safety, it's a database related institute. So that's what we want to do. As I have already said, formally we were not regulating the road transport service. Now we want to seriously go into regulating the road transport service, which in any way we have already started. This year we brought out some regulatory directives for high risk commercial transport operators and unions to abide by. One is when you are a transport operator who travels well over 500 kilometers or over 8 hours, you need to employ 2 drivers in your vehicle, mandatory, so that we'll check fatigue driving. Because we've realized through research and investigation that a lot of the accident that happens at night is out of a result of dozing drivers veering off or colliding into other oncoming vehicles. And so if you travel more than 8 hours a day within 24 hours, you need 2 drivers on board. And especially night driving, you need 2 drivers because the body is made such that in the night you need to sleep.
You need some rest.
You need to sleep, so you have to rest. And then apart from that, in the same regulation, we want the transport operators and unions to put logbooks in their vehicles. They don't have logbooks, so any speed at all they go. So if you have logbook in your vehicle, it will check your speeding limit or speeding level. And then also we say they should employ road safety officers. They will do pre-departure checks, and when you arrive they will check. When you this pre-departure check will check the vehicle, its condition,
Okay.
and the drivers, whether the drivers are in good state to travel. Some drivers drink, they take drugs, they are not in good shape, good mind, they are not focused to travel. Meanwhile, they do. So when you employ the services of a road safety officer, he has to check all these things and make sure there are two drivers before, when you are a long distance driver, before you leave your terminal, and then your logbooks are there, so they check you. This all these directives that we've put in place, we have employed, since we became an authority, road safety inspectors who will periodically go to the terminals and the stations and be checking whether these directives are being complied with. Now, it is also mandatory that all drivers who do intercity travels should have a mandatory defensive driver training. Either the transport operator or union established in conjunction with National Road Safety Authority and DVLA establish a school on their own, or they liaise with us, we give them a reputable school that will train them with all the models coming from us, so that they will be trained in defensive driving, so that if even there is something, a mistake on the road, you know how to save yourself and the passengers. So these are some of the things we've put in place now. Now we are also collaborating with Ghana Police Service, so
Okay.
that they will automate their enforcement, traffic enforcement, in such that cameras, automation cameras will be fixed in places to check speeding and other relative offenses. So now the human interface will not be there, but as we do in other countries, there will be cameras fixed in vantage points that will pick vehicles that are overspeeding, and there will be let's say an electronic machine in their office that will be checking. So it will immediately capture, you will be fined immediately. Why else you don't know that you'll be seen and you'll be fined? You either go back to your station or terminal, and then you are handed over a ticket to go and pay. Or when you go to renew your license or upgrade or something, they will look at the number of offenses you have committed. Either you will not be renewed, you'll be refused to go back and come back again, meaning that you can't drive. So these are some of the few things we have put in place. This automation of traffic enforcement, cameras and those things is called traffic tech by the police. So we are in contact with them to do all these things. And another major thing we want to also do is to provide modern rest stops at vantage points along our highways. Accra, Takoradi, Accra, Aflao, Accra, Kumasi, beyond, and then which other one? Which other those places? Accra, Takoradi, those Accra, Kumasi, and beyond, and Accra, Aflao. Those major highways that we normally hear the accidents happening, because we want to prevent fatigue driving, for drivers to have enough rest. We're in collaboration with the private sector, insurance companies and other stakeholders. Will be putting up rest stops, so that these rest stops will be a modernized rest stop, big, so such that even vehicles that are broken down on the roads, which have not been towed, automatically will be towed into those rest stops. So they will be taken off the road and be parked. If we don't see the owners, they will have a safe place to park them, so that the other vehicles will not run into them and people will die. Apart from this thing too, we are now talking on a round table, talking with insurance company and police, how best we could bring back a towing project or towing service, so that we'll collaborate with either the private sector, and then the premium that drivers pay, national insurance commission made up of insurance companies will take some money out of their premium, then go for services from private organization, so that we will be able to effectively immediately tow cars that are broken down on the road to safe places, so that we will not have much cars running into such tracks that are spoiled, killing people. So I think some of these things that we are strategies that we are bringing up will help us to meet our target of reducing road crashes by 50% by the year 2030.
Be disciplined and do your part. Thank you very much, Pearl Adusu, for agreeing to speak to us on this edition of Ghana Web Road Safety Campaign. So thank you for joining us on this episode of the Ghana Web Road Safety Campaign. We want to highlight problems of road safety in your community. So we want you to get in touch with us. Follow us on all social media sites. It's at the Ghana Web. Send us your concerns, your observations, and we'll get back at you to highlight those problems. Until another time, my name is Eche Atisu. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Ghana Web TV, and also visit us at www.ghanaweb.com. Do stay safe and be good to one another.